Oh, g'day scrappers. Yeah, I picked up a lot of these Apple Power Mac G4's through the week, and I was scrapping them out, and I just noticed that even though they all look the same, they're all very quite different inside. The motherboards got all slight variations, and so I just thought, well, I'll just leave 3 aside, and I'll just show you, just a little bit of difference, just for something to do. Most of these, they all came from an office, and they've all had their hard drives removed already, but everything else is all pretty much in them. And so here's one version of the G4. You can see the motherboard here. You've got a slot card, and the other version, it's, as you can see, it's a little bit different. And so you don't always get exactly, so whilst you think, oh, it's a G4, you're going to get X from it. Yeah, they're all slightly different. It's just interesting that how they do it. And another one, well, this is a blue motherboard, and again, different configurations, different kind of CPU sort of board, which I find quite interesting. There's good thing about these Apple G4's is they're a little bit like a server board, because they've got really good high-end quality MLCCs and tantalum capacitors and stuff like that. And so all I'm going to do is just going to do quick scrap out of the 3 of these. I just want to take out the motherboards out of them. So I'll just get the boards out. So even the slot cards are quite high grade compared to others. I can just see the gold fingers that, it definitely is a better quality gold plating than a regular PC. But yeah, that's that one. So there you go again. You can just see the gold plating. If I put it in the sunlight, you might be able to see it a little bit better. But just the gold plating, the quality of it is just better than regular. It's very, very yellow. It's not faded like some of them are. And you can see here the MLCCs are really nice, fat, chunky MLCCs. So really good little slot cards, actually. Same deal here. Looks like a very common slot card, but yeah, once again, really stands out. The gold plating, some nice fingers there. And this one, yep, same kind of deal. Similar to the first one, but here you can see all the little tantalum capacitors all over it. So a little bit better value, scrap wise. So probably worth depopulating this, because these brackets are very, very thin, very light, so you're not getting much value on the brackets, whereas there's good gold pins in here. You can even look to sell these, but being a G4, they're starting to get a little bit old. But so that's the boards. We'll just have a little look at the CPU and motherboard itself. Okay, so this one looks like the most basic motherboard out of the 3. But yeah, when I picked them up, I was just expecting them all to be pretty much identical. Like when you get the same kind of PC, they're all very much the same thing. But yeah, definitely all very different. Okay, I've just got to pop off this heatsink to get to the last screw. So nice little aluminium heatsink, interesting one to maybe keep as a collectible. Just get that one more screw. Okay, yeah, So as I said, I was quite surprised at them being so different, but so here we go. There's the motherboard. Got 3 nice RAM sticks on this one. They're only not sure of the size. They're probably like 512 KB. What are they? Yeah, not really sure. But being an old board, it's not really worth trying to sell anything here, because these ones were, as I said, they came out of an office, but they've been in their warehouse sitting around collecting dust for quite some time. The other side, well, if you look at that board, that's the CPU there, and so these kind of go like go in the same category as slot CPUs. So you can see the main CPU here. It's quite a nice one. You can't really get this off without breaking it all up. So I just keep these slot CPUs complete, and I'll just take it off. So with all the Power Mac G4's, even the G5's also have an even more intense slot CPU. But so you got the main CPU here. You got some really nice MLCCs, and then you got these really high chunky tantalum capacitors, the black ones. So I don't recommend selling slot CPUs from Power Macs to a board buyer. I recommend you, if you depopulate stuff yourself, this is the sort of thing that should be depopulated, because you're just giving them so much value for such a little board. They're not going to pay a great deal for it, and the gold and platinum inside this will be, very high grade. So, and just the tantalum capacitors, where we've got, there's 12 tantalum capacitors on these, and these are the real high ones. So the thicker the tantalum capacitor, the more tantalum percentage inside. These ones will have 25% by weight tantalum, compared to the small tantalum capacitors, which will have about 20%. So you get, quite a bit more out of these bigger ones, so they're definitely worth. You got a little flat pack there, the other side another flat pack, some more MLCCs, got some gold pins all in here. So definitely don't sell these to scrap buyers. If you depopulate stuff, definitely depopulate it. If you don't depopulate, well, that's a different story. Just make sure you sell it as a slot CPU and not just a regular circuit board, because that CPU there is very high value. You might even want to keep this as a collectible, which I like to do. I don't even depopulate these. I just keep them as they are for now. But if you look after them, you could even, get good money just selling these. The motherboard itself, it's typical of a Macintosh motherboard, where you don't have a great deal on the board itself, because a lot of the work comes out of this slot CPU, and a few chips does a lot of the work. But anyway, but I like these little crystal oscillators. Definitely, I take them. You got some crystals here for a bit of silver if you want, but not a great deal. A tantalum capacitor. But the other side, you've got some really nice chips here. So you can see these gold corner chips, BGA chips, right? These again are very high value. So you just want to work out whether you want to, sell the board as it is or depopulate these, because, like this one here, this will be a really good one for gold recovery. But overall, because there's not much else on this, it's also might be worth just selling as it is. Although you got look at the size of these MLCCs. These are probably the best ones. They're very browny looking ones, flat and nice and big. These have definitely got, you know, silver caps, definitely have palladium inside them. High quality MLCCs. They really add to the, if you've got a pile of MLCCs, these will really boost up the palladium and silver content of your MLCCs overall. So definitely, if you're selling this board as it is, I'll definitely take these off. Okay, once you took them off, you're not going to really notice that they're missing. Then you probably have to leave on these chips, and all I would take off is this crystal oscillator and maybe a couple of these crystals, maybe a couple of tantalum capacitors, and the rest I would leave as a motherboard. So that was the first variation. I'm trying not to go on too long, but the idea of it is not to give you a fast video, quick and easy. I'm trying to explain things as I go, and for those of you that are interested will probably get something out of it, you know. Those that are just looking for a quick bit of entertainment, you know, are going to probably find some of the stuff I talk about a bit boring, but it's the whole point of the video is to learn stuff. When I started scrapping, I found I was starving for information online, like on YouTube, to get in any kind of, you know, to learn about things, because most of the videos that I saw, they were just too quick. They didn't really explain much. They just sort of, oh, this is it, I'm scrapping this, yep, I pull it apart, there you go, thanks for watching, see you later. And you know, I just want a little bit more out of videos when I was learning. So that's probably why I talk a little bit too much. But, you know, if you want to sort of learn a little bit, just let me get into this. Okay, the same deal. Get this big bugger of a heatsink out. Okay, so a little bit different, a lot bigger this one. Some nice weight to it, extruded aluminium compared to the first one. It's at least twice the weight. Still going to have to take off these. Sometimes they're brass, sometimes they're steel. And there's our little slot CPU. Well, this one here is pretty much similar to the first one, although it's definitely different, because that's the first one, and so you can see the second one. It's quite different in that the CPU is bigger. Let me just yeah. So it's definitely a bigger CPU. And you can just imagine, just by looking at it, you know, that there's going to be some nice gold and platinum in here. And you can see the difference with the CPU to the flat pack on the first one. Whereas the second one, it's got gold corners. It's got a little gold corner chip and a bit of gold on the side. So this one was just a flat pack with legs on all sides, where this one here is a BGA chip. So it will definitely have better value than the first one for gold recovery. So again, it's really not worth selling as a slot CPU. You're better off going for the gold recovery. It's only got 6 tantalum capacitors, but as you can see, they are still the really nice, thick, chunky ones. And it's got these aluminium capacitors and this copper coil, which adds a bit of weight, which reduces the value. But over the other side, we also got another BGA chip here, the same kind. So this is going to have, you know, a nice gold recovery stuff in there. We've got smaller MLCCs around it. We've also got the gold pins here. But yeah, so very much the same kind of concept as the first one, but just less MLCCs, like you can see all the MLCCs running down on the first one. So value wise, they're probably about the same if you take into account more tantalums, more MLCCs. But this CPU is definitely worth more, and the flat packs BGA chips are worth more than these ones, definitely. You can just, if you can see the gold coming out of it, well then there's definitely going to be some good gold inside it. So a really good one, this one. And we'll just undo this board. Okay. All right. Well, so far it's nothing spectacular. Again, we've got the nice RAM sticks. What are they? 518, 512 meg, but more weight to these because they're higher than regular. But as you can see, again, the board is pretty basic compared to the you know, the first one. Pretty much yeah, pretty much identical, except different configuration. But as far as precious metal recovery, not a great deal on this side. You know, a couple of tantalum capacitors. We do have some really nice MLCCs along here though, and again I can see that they're the class 1 MLCCs, nice high quality. Other side, only got 2 BGA chips. This giant one here, this one will be a really good one if you depopulate it, and a smaller one here. A few more tantalum capacitors, but yeah, it's probably one of those boards that's probably again worth just selling and picking off a few things instead of trying to depopulate the lot, because as you can see, there's not a great deal on it. You know, I'd just pick off these MLCCs, a couple of tantalums here and there, a few crystals, and leave these chips on and sell it as it is. It just depends on how far you go with depopulating. But yeah, quite interesting that when you're looking at these PowerMac G4's, you know, they all look the same outside, so you expect them to be the same inside, but they're quite very different. Even things like the power supply units can be different, and the whole overall thing. Now the last one, we'll just have a quick look at this blue motherboard and see what this one looks like. Definitely got a different heatsink to it. Okay, well this one's obviously the pick of the bunch. So it's got a really interesting heatsink, although this is just thin sheets of aluminium. You've got a really solid base here, and what I like to do is, well, a good idea is not always assume it's aluminium. It could be tinned copper, and so we just need to get into it, just snip a little bit and see if we've got any copper underneath. So no, in this case this is all just solid aluminium, so it'll just go. You could probably get away with throwing this into extruded aluminium because the base here is extruded. This is just sheet, but if you throw it in together, whereas this is all extruded aluminium. So even these fins, whereas these fins are just aluminium plates. But still, a really nice heavy extruded aluminium heatsink. Now we'll get into this awesome slot CPU. Let me just finish getting this motherboard out. Some of these apples can be a little bit difficult. As you know, with most apples, they always make something a little bit complicated. just to give you a hard time. All right, now check this CPU out. Now this is a slot CPU and a half. Okay, so we've got two beautiful CPUs here. Now this board here, I couldn't test it out because it's a rundown machine, but if you could test this out, this might be worth quite good money just as it is. But either way, precious metal wise, it'll be really good money too. Look at that, two beautiful CPUs. Okay, if I can find the last one. This is pretty much double up to the last one. So you got one CPU on the last one with one BGA chip. And this one is two CPUs, two BGA chips with the gold corners and ends. Really nice board here. You got the yellow tantalum capacitors, again, really nice chunky. But look at the size of these MLCCs. These are giant, and these are awesome, right? Palladium City here, beautiful. So really nice board, really high value board, and again for the size, it's not much bigger than the last one, but it's got twice as much as good stuff. So again, this is this kind of stuff you don't want to sell to a board buyer. You want to either depopulate it or take it to a toll refiner or someone like that will extract this stuff. But in here it's not just gold, it's platinum and silver. And other side we've got two BGA chips, nice scattering of MLCCs all over it, really nice. And again, the gold pins in here. But this slot CPU is like the pick of the bunch. It's one of the best ones I've seen CPU wise. The G4's, they have more MLCCs. You'll see really big lines of MLCCs on the G5, but don't discount these G4's. Scrap wise, these are really, these are just great for anyone that's into scrapping and wants to get high quality stuff for precious metal recovery. To add the slot card, I only had one slot card, but again, it's we've got some really nice, they're only small tantalum capacitors, but there's quite a lot, so well worth depopulating. Under this heat sink here, we've also got a really nice BGA chip, which is a very high one, nice and thick, and gold corner chip, so definitely good value here. We've got some IC chips. Other side also got some IC chips. So it's a very much like a regular slot card, except these gold foils are a lot higher in value, and it's just one that you might want to depopulate. And the motherboard itself, a couple of RAM stick, again, very much the same. Got a massive MLCC here. When you see these really big ones, you just want to make sure that it's got a C and not an L. If it's an L, it's an inductor, it's not an MLCC. But in this case, it's titled to C, so it's definitely an MLCC, and it'll be a really good one. You can see the silver on the sides. It's going to be lovely. Some more nice ones, the little ones here. Other side, okay. So less than in the other boards, although if you see this little line of chips here, they're all BGA chips. Very small, you don't even notice them. I mean, if you were to sell this motherboard as it is, right, you could chip off these little BGA chips quite easily and it wouldn't go noticed. And BGA chips are, as far as chips are concerned, are the highest value in gold recovery. But we'll also have a nice BGA chip under this heat sink. So there we've got a really nice big chunky BGA chip here, good for gold recovery. But yeah, if I was to sell this board, I would just remove these BGAs here. I'd remove these three tantalums here. I'd take that other BGA. I'd take this little crystal oscillator, really nice, these ones. and these two huge MLCCs I would take off, and I'd leave the rest to so it still looks like a motherboard. On the other side, well, there's a gold corner BGA chip here, but all I would take off is this giant MLCC, another crystal oscillator here, and maybe some of these MLCs here, and I'd sell the rest, because to depopulate this fully, you're probably going to lose money. You're better off getting full value. You know, I'd take off this tantalum capacitor, but I'd leave the rest on. I'd leave the small ones and leave all this part. Obviously, you have to take away the battery in every motherboard, so that's gone. I'll take the RAM, but the rest, that can be sold. Just pick off a few little things, don't make it too obvious, and you get your extra value that way. Unless you're actually refining everything yourself, then you know you're probably going to want to depopulate the whole lot. All right, well, that's the Apple Power Mac G4's. Just wanted to show you the different variations on what is pretty much an identical PC, and they all came from the same place. And I've done quite a few of these over time, but it wasn't only until this week that I realised how different they all are, because I'd done quite a few of them. And so yeah, all I'll do now is I'll just remove there's a couple of DVD drives in there. There's a big power supply unit, some wires, just the standard stuff, and get rid of it. But we got what we came for, and the prize of the day is the slot CPUs. 1, 2, 3. And look at the difference in slot CPUs out of three G4's that looked identical. You got a smaller one, although it's packed with stuff, slightly bigger one with better IC chip or BGA chip, and then we got the massive one with two CPUs, two BGAs, two on the other side, giant MLCCs, giant tantalum capacitors. Look, even more tantalum capacitors I didn't notice. Look at all these black ones here, right? 10 of them, just in one big line. But so, really high value board, and unless someone's prepared to pay you top dollar, I wouldn't sell them. Even worth collecting. You can put these into your CPU collection. They're just a different form of CPUs, and that's what I'll be doing. I'll definitely wouldn't even be depopulating these. These will go into my collection until one day, if I don't want them anymore, then I'll go for the precious metal recovery. All right, guys. Well, keep scrapping, have fun. I hope you enjoyed this vid. Hope it didn't go too long, and I'll catch you next time with something new.